Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. God bless you. My name is Pastor Yemi Omogboyiga. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for patronizing this channel. As always, kindly subscribe to my channel. Please like our videos, subscribe, comment as you consider fit, and share our videos extensively and widely too. God bless you. I want to talk on the topic which says we are here to make a difference. We are here to make a difference. Bible records that Abraham was great, Isaac was greater, and Jacob was exceedingly great. Great, greater, greatest. That is exactly how life is and should be. Apologies for the background light of this video. Might be going dim, from time to time, but I'll see what I can do to improve that. Nigeria is wonderful. I won't talk down on it. Nigeria shall be great. We shall get to a level where we shall have uninterrupted power supply, and it will be during my lifetime too, because I want to enjoy it before leaving this world. And the changes that are going on in life, even in my environment here, makes me to really believe that these good things will happen in my life. So these are improvised lights because the main supplies are still sleeping and they are slumbering. But we shall get there. During my lifetime, as the Lord God Almighty lives, Nigeria shall be great. And it shall be greater than I met it before I leave this world. Now, as I said, we are here to make a difference. And the good example is the example of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Everything that I am saying here, I am going to give you the personal life application of it. That is, I will tell you exactly how I managed this aspect of my life. That is, trying to make things better than I met it. But suffice it to say from this very beginning that, brethren, if you are born into a family and you inherited some things that needed change and you are not able to effect those changes, that is for the better in particular, then maybe I should say you have not succeeded in this world. I'll give you an example. I've always told that story, and I'm not ashamed of saying it. I'm not saying it's also purpose of somebody to pity me because I've overcome that. I've crossed the bridge and I've broken the bridge. And I pray that no generation, from generation to generation, no offsprings of mine will cross or will return to the status quo that I met my family. That is why I'm still praying for Nigeria. I met Nigeria at a stage where everything is hardship. I know that before I leave this world, I'm just 69 years old, so God willing, I still have much time to spend here. I'm not despairing, because within a twinkle of an eye, God can perform miracles that one will be wondering. And one will be wondering how did it happen? It is already happening in my life, and I know it's going to happen in your own life too. Now, the example that I'm going to give, the few examples. One, I met from the family circle, the legacies that I inherited. The good side of it, I inherited love. You see, I met love with my parents, my mother, her siblings, my extended family members, in my mother's side in particular. In fact, that also repeated itself in my biological father's family. I met love. And the only thing I needed to do here is to improve upon that love that I met with my families, both sides. And I thank God I'm able to accomplish that, even at the level that I am now. So it's not exactly the way it was that it is now. I met love. Then the second thing, the one that I needed to make a change very fast in my life, was poverty. I inherited poverty. I have 3 homes. My biological father's home, my legal father's home, my maternal home. These 3 homes were ridden with poverty, financial poverty. And I wanted to make a difference. And to God be the glory. Today, I'm not a billionaire, but unlike the generation of my parents in the 3 homes, I'm able now to eat what I like to eat. I live in a better apartment than we did. I'm able to train our children, unlike my generation. We'll talk about that when we get to education. I'm able to work in a better place, and I'm able to also be an influencer. That I'm doing this is part of the global change, or changes that I believe God has sent me to do in this world. Then, as part of I'm able to take good care of my parents to the best of my ability, because he that must take care of others must have something in stock with which he can do it. So I'm able to contribute to the progress of my families in my little way. So I really have to appreciate God for that. Then, in terms of spirituality, I'm more fulfilled now than my parents. Very much more fulfilled than my parents. In terms of education, all of my parents, my father, my mother, they did not have Western education. But by the special grace of God, who brought me here to make a difference and to advance the cause of education in my family, I thank God today that I'm doing better. I have done better than my parents educationally. They didn't have. I had little. And by the special grace of God, the generations after me are having better stuff in terms of education. Also, in terms of living beyond self, beyond considering, living beyond personal gains, I thank God today I'm able to reach out, not only within my family setting, but I'm able to, even if it's only one person, I'm able to contribute in my little way to the upliftment of a few people, even outside my immediate families. And I'm able to, I thank God today that even where I cannot do it directly, there is no position that the Lord has placed me in this world that God has not used me to bless some people, either by way of employment, by way of encouragement to others, by way of motivating others, by way of preaching and teaching, by way of, guiding. I'm such that, I'm restless unless I did something that will better the lot of humanity. So, this is what has brought about what I call my life of activism. So, I'm an activist, a quiet but at the same time vocal activist. I quietly think about what to do and I implement them loudly. When I say loudly, it's not a purpose of boasting. No, these things will be seen, manifesting in the lives of people. So I am somebody that the Lord has made to influence others for the better. So it's a big difference that I'm able to, wherever I find myself, whether in my place of work, whether in the family, whether in the church of God, anywhere, mine is to make things better. To live wherever I got to better than I met it. A lot of you might have been seeing my comments on churches. I met the church where people were teaching what they didn't understand because the people that were being taught did not read the Bible. But I studied the Bible, I discovered the errors, and what I'm teaching today is I'm making a difference. I'm teaching what I profess that the Bible has taught us. Now, let me tell you, some people may not like whatever we are saying or doing, but in order to make that difference, because we are certain of what I am saying, I'm certain of what I am saying, I don't bother about that. I'll give you an example. In some gatherings today, when I want to minister, I have discovered that the name of Yeshua is what we call Jesus. And also I discovered that there is no name like Jesus. There is no name associated in the Bible that is called Jesus. But the real name is Yeshua. And anytime I want to pray, I discover that unless I call the name of Jesus, people might even be wondering, what is this man saying? But all the same, I pray in Yeshua's name because that is the correct name. Jesus was an invention, man's invention. But again, sometimes after praying in Yeshua's name and I find that they are not responding, they are not used to it, I have to now say, okay, in Jesus' name, everybody will. No wonder. I just pray that God will continue to have mercy upon us. One thing I discover is that God is answering our prayers whether we know how to pray or not. But when we know the truth, we should stick to that truth, change to the truth so that our prayers will be more effective. For instance, I believe today that if you pray in Yeshua's name or Yehoshua's name, your prayers will be heard in heaven. But if you pray in Jesus' name, God will do what he wants to do because he does things as he pleases, and it's not necessarily because you mention Jesus' name. No. I know to those of you who are used to Jesus, you discover that, you will say, what I'm saying now is like, no, I have to make that difference. Yeshua is the name, not Jesus. There are a lot of politicking, even in religion. There are a lot of manipulations, even in religion. There are a lot of extortions, distractions, minuses and pluses. For instance, today I know that the original Bible, which is called the Ethiopian Bible now, which the Ethiopians are using, is 84, either 80 or 84 chapters, books. But what we inherited from the English version is 66 books. And even in Bible, at the closing of that Bible, it says, the Bible cursed those who will add to or remove from the Bible. What happened to the remaining almost 30-something books, either 24 or whatever books? What happened to them? What is the fate of those who added or removed from that Bible? So let's leave that. We are here to make a difference. That's the point. Now, like I did say earlier, if you come into this world and your family does not advance through you, you did not contribute to the upliftment of people from your family that you are sent to. In every family you are sent to, you are to make that place better than you met it. I gave you the example earlier that, I'm living the world now better. Members of my families now, they have been lifted. There are people that God used me to contribute to their own upliftment, which is all the reason we're here. The Church of God, the same thing. My places of work, the same thing. I've given you those examples. So it is left for you. Wherever you find yourself, you are to leave that place better than you met it. And I told you, when you want to do this, it will take activism, social activism. You will identify the problems, you will make the move to change it, and as God is lifting you up high, you will practically make the difference. And then you will do it in such a way that the generations after you will get better. That is the main purpose. You are sent first to your family members. You are sent to the Church of God. You are sent to your place of work. You are sent to Nigeria for a purpose. Even with the fact that you do not soil the name of Nigeria, you don't find yourself as fraudster. You don't find yourself as Yahoo Yahoo. You don't find yourself as kidnappers, bandits, and so on and so forth. And then God even helps you to be able to begin to minister the work of God, the word of God all over the place. Is a major thing that your ancestors could not accomplish. So people who invented YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, they made a difference, huge difference to the world. And those of us who are preaching, teaching, and ministry over these platforms, we are making a difference even to the world. And because they are more or less social engineering. They are more or less social reforming. Because if not for this social media today, men, the world would have become a wildest place. They would have, in fact, life would have had no meaning anymore. Because some people are just worse than wild animals. But this world of this social media is taming them. Even the Church of God, where we thought that, we could find the truth, love, and humanity, the decadence in the church alone is worse than the ones that are happening outside the church. So, where do you turn? Thank God for the social media. The people who invented this thing are sent. Can you imagine the volume of information you have on social media now? On any topic. On medicine, on psychology, on anything. You can become a medical doctor, either herbal or orthodox, by mere gluing yourself to the social media and researching what you needed to find out. And you speak professionally, you do professionally, you treat yourself professionally and medically. So thank God for all that. It's part of social activism that the social media has brought into the world and is leaving it for the better. You know how much you bought books before? Now today all of them are free. You know how much you pay to your medical doctor to give you advice, and some of which will even not be up to date or correct. Today, Google anything. Go to YouTube, search for that topic. Go to WhatsApp groups, you get information. Free. You are not paying a dime. The world is doing better and will continuously do better in Yehoshua's name. Now, my challenge to you is that you are not here to just please yourself, please your wife, please your children alone. You are here to contribute to the upliftment of humanity, starting with your own immediate family, extended families. You should now be any modern person, you that are looking at me now, that is still partaking in the quarrels, feuds, all the, you are from a polygamous home, you are siding your mother, you are, ganging up, with your own siblings to fight the other woman's children or the mother, your stepmothers or whatever. I know you shame me. You may not fulfill your destiny. What is expected of you today is to unite the family, whether it is polygamy or it's anything. If you are failing to do that, you are not fulfilling God's purpose in your life. God wants you to propagate love, not hatred. So, now let's look at how I manage social activism in my own life, practically. How I manage social activism in my life, practically. And this can best be summarized by way of telling the story of how I met this world and things I identified and what I've done. The essence of this is for you to also copy such traits and start applying them to your lives. I know many of you who say, oh, this man just want to talk about, he kept on talking about himself. Why not? If there is something that will profit you, if it's part of the change or bettering your own life that these stories are told. Africans ran into trouble because they live a life, even if they did well, it's not documented. I'm documenting this so that those of you who will listen to it will not only share it to others, but will profit from them. You might say, who is this man? What else is accomplished? Not known as president of Nigeria. No, it doesn't matter. At that micro level that you are, you can influence the society for the better. So that is why I am releasing this volume, using my own life as an example. You can also look at the lives of others, those who are doing well. Look at those, let those who are doing well, who have good stories to tell, let them mentor you towards doing good. Bible says, influence them. Don't let them influence you. It is not for the world to influence you for worse. It is for you to influence the world for the better. So happy listening as you listen to what I titled My Life of Social Activism. God bless you. Bye. Yeah, welcome back again to my live story. So in this series or chapter of the book which I titled Better Tomorrow Part 2, which chronicles my experiences in life from the age of, as far as I can remember things, that is age of 0 to age of 69. The part 1 of this book ended up about the age of 46. So this is an update meant for possible publication later in life, if God wills. If not, this recording will suffice and will be put in a place where it can be accessed, especially by my children and by extension those who may want to learn one or two things about life. So this time around, I'm talking about my life as an activist. My life as an activist. The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 talks about, for everything there is a time, and for everything there is a purpose, and so on and so forth. I know my purpose in life, and I thank God I'm able to pursue them. One of my greatest purposes in life is to make a difference to every aspect of life. So, to make a difference, one must query the status quo, or I must query the status quo of everything I met on earth. And querying everything that I met on earth has unraveled a lot, such that I would say God has helped me to make changes and to also advance the cause not only of my life, but that of my nuclear extended families. At the same time, that of the society generally, let me say humanity generally, no matter how little. I have said something, I have done something that is impacting the life of my listeners, even globally, or my followers, or my fans globally. Querying the status quo is what brings about development in life. Otherwise, everything will remain static. And one thing that is most constant in life is change. Change is very, very constant, and there is nothing one can do about it. You do something, life is moving. You do nothing, life is moving. And life is blunt. So let me start by saying that querying the status quo of everything I come across in life is, excuse me. Yes, like I did say, starting from the point or from the perspective of challenging the status quo. I thank God, one of the gifts that the Lord has given to me is to query everything or challenge whatever I see. Now, that started with my own life. When I was growing up and old enough to begin to understand things little by little, the first thing I discovered in my life, I would now say as an activist, which I never knew I was then, or which I challenged, is that I discovered that from my father's side, from my mother's side, even from the legal father that I had, from their own side too, one thing cut across, and that thing is poverty. Poverty. So early in life, I've discovered that. And I had been wondering what could have been the cause of this poverty. For instance, I discovered that before me, there was nobody that was educated in my family, in my families. When I say families, especially my mother's lineage, nobody was particularly educated. Then from my legal father's families also, that's another story entirely, because I have a legal father, I have a biological father. From my legal father's families, nobody also was educated. And nobody was wealthy. Everybody was poor. Also from my biological father's side, my father was not educated, but his younger brother had, I believe, a standard 6. So at least somebody in that side is lucky to have gone to school up to that level. Maybe he would have gone further, but that thing called poverty also might have prevented him from riding higher academically. My father didn't have anyone at all in terms of Western education. Neither did my mother have one. Now, that's their generation. Then our own generation, my siblings, the highest one that was educated amongst them had a primary 6. In fact, my mother's firstborn didn't have a Western education at all. Her crime, because she's a female. The one that is next to her had primary 6, and maybe not that he couldn't have gone further, but I believe that the understanding or the vision or the focus, let me say that he wasn't patient enough to be able to bear the pains of being educated. Because I'm saying this because my mother told me that, she had the ability then, because she was still very strong, to at least to see him through to a little bit higher than primary 6 education. So it's lucky. Our third daughter too, my mother's daughter that I followed, she had the opportunity of at least reading to primary 6 level, but she had to kind of drop out and opted to go and learn a skill. Maybe her ability, but one thing she kept saying is that if I had somebody who could kind of pressurize me then, or insist that I must be educated, that maybe I would have finished primary 6 at least. But even if she had finished primary 6 as my brother did, then going further, maybe my mother also being agile then, she could have been able to do something to see her going beyond primary 6. But the long and short is that she ended up at primary 3. And that primary 3 is a sound one, but she couldn't continue. So, coming to me, I also discovered that, I was not going to, I would say, unless God intervenes, unless something happens, I was not going to even complete my primary education. And my own case would have been not for lack of focus, not for lack of endurance, not for lack of willingness, but poverty would have prevented me. Thank God for Chief Awolowo's free education. Even in spite of that, it took the grace of God for me to be able to get to primary 6. And the rest is history. And on getting to this primary 6, the question is, what next? My legal father has died. I wasn't living with my biological father. And even if I was living with him, he had no money, no financial capacity to take good care of my education. Even my elders from my father's side had to struggle to get educated too, with the help of God, with the help of man. Today, at least, from my father's side, or my siblings, my older siblings were able to get to somewhere in life in terms of education. The younger ones too, to give glory to God. With the help of God and the help of man here and there, a little here, a little there, they too were able to make something good out of life because they were determined and they gave to it what it deserves to ensure that their education did not stop at even primary 6. So, the outcome of this today is that as many of us that are eager to be educated were educated. Among my siblings, and we are the better for it today. To God be the glory. If an illiterate father can produce qualified medical personnel here and there, engineer, as well as a legal practitioner, I think we have challenged the status quo and we brought about improvement to our lineage. So, that is the position of things. But one thing, like I did say, is that what would have prevented us from making a headway in life would have been poverty, financial poverty. We wouldn't have been educated at all, apart from, whether ability or focus, lack of focus or what. No, 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 no. The greatest thing is that even when we are willing, we wouldn't have had the finances to be able to advance academically in life. But God made it happen. And I looked at this poverty thing, like I said, from my maternal and paternal sides. It took its tolls, unpleasant tolls. But in my own case, let me now narrow down to myself. In my own case, I was determined to change that narrative. I got, with the help of little help here, help there, and determination on my part, and God Himself making everything happen, I focused on having at least a university degree. How it will happen, I didn't know, because when there was no funds to go to secondary school, how would I have done it? And I wanted to make a change. That's the activism in me. I wanted to make a change. I wanted to make a difference. So I had to determine that as the Lord God Almighty lives, I must be educated, because I've seen education as an inroad to breakthroughs, prosperity, advancement, progress. In fact, I saw that there was no other way other than to just be enlightened and well exposed to be able to reach the top that the God has destined everybody for. I'm no exception. And like I said, my mother helped a lot to propel me into understanding that education is very key in life. She would say, I'm not educated in the Western sense, but I know my mind. That her mind that she knew was to motivate as many of our children that are willing to be educated, even though she was already growing old by the time I came alive. And without money, you can do nothing. Even the primary six took the efforts of herself, my elder sister, her firstborn, that is my mother's firstborn, Florence Ibitoye, of blessed memory, and my mother's sibling, Uncle Israel Olayinka. It took, and my own brother, late Michael Ajiboye too now, Olugosi. It took the efforts of those four people prominently to see me through to primary 6. After that, I would say that it wouldn't have been completely true that nobody would help me to send me to secondary school. But I believe that God just made it happen the way it happened. Because God has something to bring about. from the whole story, because my sister was determined to send me to secondary school. She said she would rather sell her last wrapper to see me through to secondary school, because we were so close. In fact, I was a treasure in her heart that must be preserved and taken good care of. In this case, my education. But one thing led to another. That couldn't happen because I was taken away from her and by my brother and taken to Lagos. And well, my expectation was that I would go through the formal education in Lagos, but thank God for the little that my brother was able to offer. He enrolled me into a local institution where I was learning typing and shorthand with my primary 6 certificate. So that's all he could offer. I took it and worked assiduously hard to ensure that I got to the highest height in the secretarial profession. And that worked out. God said yes to it. But I did not lose sight of wanting to go to a university. And how would I get there without having my GCE? Because that was the alternative. You either write what you now call WAEC, Senior Secondary School Certificate, or you have your private GCE. That was the only option left for me. And how would I pass such exams? Then I had to enroll in private studies. I've had to engage in private studies, correspondence colleges, and all that. In fact, more of this will be said when I'm talking about my education. Exclusively, I'm talking about my life of activism today. And so let me focus on activism. What I'm saying is that another point of my activism is that, okay, I must do something that would enable me to advance in life. So I refuse to stop at primary 6. I want to get to the university. And whatever it will take, I will take. That will take radicalism. That will take determination. That will take focus. That will take vision. That will take persistence. That will take perseverance. I was ready to pay those prices. And that will take prudence in terms of financing myself. Because I cannot depend on anybody now to do it for me. So as a result, I had to stop depending on anybody. I looked for work. Started working and earning 1 naira 5 kobo per day in 1973. So from that 1 naira 5 kobo per day, that will be about between 24 to 26 naira a month. I ensured that I was funding my education through private studies, and I was paying for my exam success correspondence colleges. I also enrolled with the Rapid Results College in London, as well as I took a bit of Metropolitan College correspondence courses, at different stages. And at the same time, I was still pursuing the secretarial studies while I was working. But one thing that is unique about my financial discipline is the fact that I never had budget for food, I never had budget for clothing, I never had budget for luxury. I had budget only majorly for to pay for my school fees and feed, bear it to the barest minimum so that at least I can live. So that was how I started investing those money. I want to make a difference. I'm not depending on anybody. I depend upon God and my ability. And I got focused. I was visionary. I could see a better tomorrow through education. So, again, I had this, having seen what is happening from both sides of my families, that poverty chain, I wanted to break it. And if I must break it, that's activism again. If I must break it, I must build myself first. He that will save others must be saved first. So I have to educate myself. The only weapon I knew was to educate myself. And I did say that I concluded in my mind that education will fetch me money because I will get good jobs. And with that job, I could be in a position to help others. I have looked at the whole thing, the setup, especially from my mother's side, because that's where I was physically. And my legal father's side, I had not moved to my biological father's home then. So I wasn't dwelling with my biological father. The area I knew was my mother's side. So I was like, my focus was that, okay, everything I could do, I would do to change the financial status of my mother's side, especially my siblings, especially my mother's siblings. Those are my first areas of concentration, of thought. While my biological father's side, all my siblings, they are all now. They too were passing through their own times, looking for the way out. And thank God, God was making the way out for them in their own way. They are as determined, they were as determined as I was. And today, we give glory to God. All of us were accomplished. So it's like a case of collapse now. Hallelujah. So I kept on with my studies, but even side by side, would you believe that busy as I wasn't contented with just the correspondence colleges alone. No. I was enrolling with evening classes, secondary school, adult education evening classes. So, one of the schools that I attended, their lecture was progress side something at Mushi, at Moshalashi area. I also attended a secondary school at Bagada side. I can't remember the name now. So, I combined all these ones, just as I was also reading anything I could lay my hands upon. Reader's Digest, newspapers, magazines. Some may be as old as I am. Anyway, I picked them up. I remember even when I was in the toilet, the paper I wanted to use, I will read them first before I use them. And I listened a lot to radio stations. I also listen a lot to, as much as possible, to TV, the newscasts in various NTA then and all that. You know. So, will you believe that even as I was busy, the activism in me never rested? One example, when I was in that secondary school at Bagada now, can't remember the name now. I wrote it in my Facebook. That was the first time I became the student leader there. Or just class captain, yes, the class captain of my class. That was one of the beginnings of my leadership role. And how did I become that? You know, I was like, it's not just about reading, it's about leadership. I saw some things that were not how they should be. And my activities in the classroom stood me out to qualify to become the class captain. That was the beginning. You remember I said, I'm challenging the status quo, financial status quo of my family. That's activism. In this one too, in school now, activism. And I also, when I was working as a factory worker then, I was a member of the Textiles Union then. I can't remember what they call them now. Textiles Union. As at that time, one Mr. Ray Epu of blessed memory was the union leader at the national level then. I became interested in unionism. That's activism. Because I always want to participate in anything that will improve the lot of humanity, that is, we the workers. So, I mean, young as I was, I think that was about the age of 19 or 20, thereabout, 20, thereabout. I was a member, and I believed in the cause of unionism. Okay. Eventually, I recorded a good success in my private GCE. Because you see, this education thing cannot be separated from my activism and cannot even be separated from my working life because they all go side by side. How I was able to do them, I don't know, it's just God. Combining everything. So, I was doing all that. But wherever I found myself, I wanted to make contributions that would better the place and a lot of the people in particular. Maybe the story won't be complete until I mention that the spirit of this activism is also one thing that I would say was generically passed onto me by my mother. Even though also that I did not live with my father, I found that my father also was an activist. I would say a social reformer in my community. It was much later that I was able to see this, that, okay, I took after that aspect of him also. Because my father is always writing whatever was wrong. He never rested. Everybody knew him for that. He would not tolerate being cheated or one person cheating the other. My mother, also the same thing. My mother was a balancing force in her family, interestingly, being firstborn, she really played a leadership role in that. She united the entire family. She hated cheating. She doesn't want one person to trample upon the rights of others, and so on and so forth. So I also took after my mother. So I had a plural relationship in terms of plural inheritance. That is the nature of my father, the nature of my mother were alike. So no wonder I am what I am. Trying to make peace, trying to ensure that there is justice. And it is from this justice, belief in justice, that made me to even, right from my early days, prefer to be a lawyer, because I want to defend people's rights. And by extension, I want to make sure that when it gets to doing what is right, I have a legal backing to be able to accomplish the part of activism. I'm always looking at the details of every situation, looking at what is just, what is right, what is fair, just like the Rotary Club's logo or whatever we say. Is it fair? Is it just? Will it make everybody, will it make the other person happy or something? Those things that Rotary Club stood for, or still stands for today. So those are the areas I had my eyes. So in the family, if there's any little dispute here and there, I was young, but I was always on the path of justice. You know, from polygamous home, there are a lot of injustices here and there. What do? I don't side with whoever is wrong. Even if it's my mother that was wrong, I will apportion her blame. I will not align with her. A lot of occasions like that when I was young. So I was a neutral person. My stepmothers knew me for that. I have many of them. So I am for justice. And then this idea of people quarreling here and there, I just hated it, because I see that it's wasting their destiny. I don't want to have anything to do with those ones. I wasn't even not a pastor then, but the little that I was being taught in the churches that I attended were sticking to my head, that justice, fairness, humanity, love, those are the things that rang bell. So anywhere I am, there has to be social order, there has to be justice, there has to be equity. So I'm for fairness. I'm for rise and let others rise. So these are the various roles that I've been playing. Now, another area where my activism was obvious was the fact that when I was in a college, that is United Christian Secretarial College, Apapa, Bombay Christian Apapa, I spent just 1 year there. In that school, there was no unionism, there was nothing, everybody was just doing what they wanted and all that. So there was no coordinated effort, you know. There was no coordinated body that could protect, advance the interests of the students, or speak on behalf of the students. Within that 1 year, I organized a union. And that year, within that same year, We got recognition by the union, by the school, and then we had an issue then. The diplomas issued by the school was not hitherto, or before that time, prior to that time, you cannot present them to employers for recognition. The employers did not recognize them. That was one major point that we took up. Then that union, within that same 1 year, the union which I eventually became the president of, fought hard, and as at that time we got government recognition. So we got government recognition for our diploma. So by the time I was graduating and I got my diploma, it was presentable to my employers, backed up by the circular with which the government recognized our diploma, apart from the other professional exams. That school then was a monotechnic. That was just secretarial studies I was being studied then. I had a diploma there. So I really didn't have any issue presenting it to my employers for recognition. Likewise, every other person. And not only that, we took care of the interests of the school too, to the point that when we were graduating, we were able to present the school with a public address system, which made the school's workload lighter in terms of addressing us, especially as a larger forum. So we made impact as part of my activism. Now, part of my activism also, this light has gone off. Just a moment, please. Apologies. If that does not happen, then it means we have left Nigeria. You understand what I mean? My nation will do well, don't worry. Uninterrupted power supply. I will live to witness it in Nigeria, and I will use it for long before I leave this world. That's my prayer. So, let us make do with what we have. I was talking of now I have left the school. I left as an honorary student. Sorry, I came in as an honorary student. I graduated as a student union leader. Effective, efficient, productive, and I was able to bring progress to the school, at least one major progress, the recognition of the United Christian Secretarial Studies, Secretarial School, Bombay Crescent, Apapa. Their diploma became recognized by the Lagos State government then, for purpose of promotions and all that. So that was a major achievement. It's activism. Now, another aspect of my activism is participation in anything that will further improve the lots of the people in two areas: unionism as well as bodies like cooperative societies. No, I told you I was a member of the union even while I was in textiles, a factory hand, a laborer. Now, in the schools, in the secondary school I attended, evening classes I attended in Bagada, I became a class captain. In United Christian Secretarial College, I became a union president. And returning to my organization, then the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, That organization, I spent just about 3 years there. They have no unionism. It's a small body anyway. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria was a very small body then. No unionism. I couldn't establish one, but I was able to kind of make a difference in organizing, in ensuring that, not in form of full unionism, but in form of contributions that I made to my boss then, was the administrative manager, as well as the HR manager. The kind of rapport that we had, his name then was Mr. Tunji Olajide, a very pleasant man. The admonitions, the counsels, the advice, everything that we are doing, because I wouldn't say we could be qualified for full unionism. I recognize that. But all I was doing was to ensure that we improved not only the lot of the workers, but also the lot of the organization. I remember I did something that nearly cost me my job. Ordinarily, the organization was having this membership drive. So whenever organizations apply to us to become members, we will consider the application. If admissible, the organization will be admitted. But that time, I was like spurred in my spirit. To say, why don't we advertise? So that one member will bring another member, another member, another member, another member. That was innovative to me. And but that way we can capture all the manufacturers companies in Nigeria to become members of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. So what I did was I designed a form. Name, address, this and that. You want to become a member, this and that. I was the personal secretary to Dr. Umaoke Eleazu then, who was the executive director. So we usually send the minutes of every monthly meeting to members. I was the one typing them. So without consultation with my boss or even with my Ogaden administrative manager, Mr. Tunji Olajide, I just designed that form, inserted it and circulated it. So when one of the board members saw it, he pointed out that, even though this kind of thing could be done, it should not have been done this way. One should have sought clearance. He felt that it made the organization look cheap. But to me, all I want is let there be massive membership drive. So I took the initiative. When that man complained, I was called. That how can you do this kind of thing without consultation? I said, as far as I'm concerned, okay, I just wanted this organization to make progress, to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And they look, my executive director, Mr. Eleazu, took kindly to what I said. He reasoned that even though what I did was good, he saw the good side of it. Mr. Olajide too saw the good side of it. You see, when you intend well, people will know, even though your approach, your strategy may be wrong, may not be the best. So that was how I was kind of pardoned. But interestingly, my joy was that at least several organizations replied to that and they became members. So my mission was accomplished. That organization's image, that organization has made progress. That's all I was joyful at. Even though if my leaders did not consider me kindly then, it would have cost me my job. Who sent you? That's what we will say. You are too forward. I've always been forward in my life. I told the aspect of my story when I was young, when, I'm a talker from my mother's womb. I would say, you can't shut me up. No. I went to the farm then, when new yam will be coming fresh and nobody has started eating, I will eat pounded yam in the farm, and my legal father will tell me, don't tell anybody when we get home. That was the first news I will break when I got home. That earned me a lot, several, you know what it means. I was thoroughly disciplined. But did it change me? No way. I will still report another thing tomorrow. So that's why till today I'm still a talker. No amount of how busy I am that will stop me from talking. Provided I'm talking sense, I don't bother. So I'm quiet in nature, but I'm not quiet. I'm not an introvert in terms of talking. And what I'm always talking about is something that will bring betterment to humanity. Anywhere I found myself. You see me now, we are still coming to that. Talking about churches, talking about mosques, talking about Donald Trump far away in America, talking about Nigeria, talking about even you yourself that are listening to me. If I see something that will benefit you, I just discover something. I have to. And then talking about the gospel, propagating the gospel. I want the gospel to reach the uttermost part of the world. That's why I can still minister unending. So, that was another active part. Then, when I now left the manufacturing association to another bigger organization, man, there was a former good setup for me to actualize my talents in this area of activism. It wasn't long, apart from joining the union of that organization. It wasn't long that I became an official, a member of the executive. I became the branch secretary. It's a big union. The foremost or the leading union. There's nothing that was happening to Nigeria, including June 12, that one way or the other, I wasn't part of somehow, not directly. Because the person that initiated what led to June 12 and all that was working with me, was under me. So, June 12 saga. Let me leave that as that because I don't want to disclose much. That's how active I could be, opinion-wise. And mine was a senior staff association. NUPENG was a union, a junior staff union. You know what that means. So, that was part of activism. Even in the department where I work, Industrial Union was under them. All the negotiations, everything. I was the secretary that was taking the minutes. That was, recording and, typing the minutes of meetings and everything. Actively involved in that, because I was also part of the negotiations with unions. I was there. You can see my interest, because I love unionism. I love whatever. So that was going on. I love it. Busy as I was there. Activism. I look at details of everything and comment. You can't shut me up. I had that nature. You stop me now, in the next minute, I'm up again. You stop me, and next minute, I'm up again. Stop me, next minute, I'm up again. That's the nature the nature of activism that God has endowed me with. So I can preach today, do motivational talk tomorrow, be in anywhere tomorrow, up to the community level activism. And as I was doing those ones, I was writing books that I believe will help to shape the society. I've published many. In 2006, I have launched 5 books together. Yet I was working, yet I was schooling, yet I was engaged in church activities. That's me. If we come across one another, it won't take me 10-15 minutes to have a topic to discuss with you that will be talking about your life, how you can mold your life for the better, especially the younger ones, male or female. That's my nature. I look at your status. It doesn't take me time to recognize your next need, and I will start talking about the next need. If you are of the opposite sex, in fact, initially you would think that I was going to woo you. You think that I'm interested in fraternizing with you for purpose of, you understand. Whereas you won't understand until we move further, until we get deeper. When I'm talking to you, I talk to you passionately. The objective is not to have an immoral relationship with you. It is to better your life. It is to see how I can contribute to your life. If you are a boy, your own is even worse. Because I will identify what you need. I will dictate what you need and work on it. And I would like to hold you by the hand and drag you to see that thing that I believe you need, you attained it. Part of activism is I always believe in these checks and balances in life. You want to make progress in life, you have to be disciplined. One of the campaigns I made in my family and among my friends is that you must not have too many children. If you have so many children thinking that God will take care of them, you have brought them to suffer. Some members of my family wouldn't like me for that. But what I see, they may not see. Even some of my friends who want to say, what's your own? I have friends that when I tell them, I say, look, thank God you are married. To make sure you check the number of children you have. Some of them will have that kind of attitude. Then what is your own? What concerns you with my own? Whereas my own thinking is that if you must get out of poverty, if you must be able to take care of your children, your wife, if you must enjoy your life, if you must call yourself a good father, you must give the best to the few children. It is better you have few children and nurture them well. You shouldn't be among the fathers that will say, why did you bring us to the world when you know you can't cater for us? Which is what I also personally practice in my life, that look, I would rather have few number of children than to have many and amount to not a few children that will make it in life, than who will not blame me at the end of the day, because they will have seen that I'll sacrifice everything I can. So if I'm giving such advice to somebody who has several children or who is still having children, many people are angry with me on that topic. So we won't be coming back to me, it's God that takes care of children. I say, yes, I know it's God that takes care of children, but you can live and enjoy yourself and take care of the children. There is a role. You owe them duty of care. They won't like it. There are some younger ones that I will advise. I will assess your skill. They hated me for that. I will assess your skill. I will assess where I believe you are suited for. I will advise you. Some were angry with me and won't even greet me anymore because what I said was contrary to what they were pushing. I look at them. Why are you? For instance, God knows why He gave everybody their own special skills. Some people might be good at arts, some may be good at the sciences, some might be. When God, maybe commercial. So when God has given you skill in a particular area, why do you venture into an area that you are an alien to, that you will be struggling and you will suffer, even when you now kind of try to make a breakthrough, there is like water coming out of the rock. Why not go for that area that God has placed your talent, that you can easily go and still get to the top, get the same result with those who read the sciences or who read the arts or who read the other courses. That why are you coveting what God has not ordained for you? Activism. I tell you, if I meet with you 10 minutes, we'll start talking progress. Say, you talk. I say, yes. Once I'm talking sense, and you agree that I'm talking sense, I'm not talking trash. As a girl, I'm not telling you, come and sleep with me. As a boy, I'm not telling you, come and be what will truncate your destiny. My talking is fruitful. As a preacher, my preaching is different. I'm a practical person. I don't teach theory in religion. In Christianity, I believe in do that which you are taught. Love your God, love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:37-39. I went to give a sermon in my place of work. There's a place we congregate during break hours. I think about once or twice a week in those days. I went to give, that was the first time they invited me to be the speaker, the preacher. By the time I dealt with the topic for that day, everybody went home and were really passing the comment as if they've never had sermons before. Because I brought it low to all these things we are saying. You are a family man, you don't have a plan, you don't have a family budget. I did not only tell them they need to have family budget, plans for their lives, family budget, everything. I broke it down to how the family budget will be built. I did an Excel sheet that everybody was asking for later. And that Excel sheet later metamorphosed into the book that I wrote, that I titled Family Budgeting. How your incomes, how you must increase, you should have multiple streams of income, how you should manage your income in such a way that you pay your tithes, as at that time I still believed in tithe. You pay your offerings, but it must not negate your life. Not even knowing that tithe, you see me now saying that tithe is not mandatory. Hebrews 7, verse 5. Hebrews 7, verse 22. It's not part of the new dispensation, the new order, the covenant, the better covenant that Christ brought. I'm saying that now with conviction from the Bible. Not because I don't want to spend money. I always challenge my people in my churches. Unless you are really a millionaire, that's at that time, or a billionaire, you cannot outgive me. You cannot outgive what I give to the church. You cannot beat me in that area when you talk of giving. But giving must be voluntary. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 5 to 7. The church also must give back to the people. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 14 to 15. Activism, you can see. Church activism. Anywhere I go, I look at the details and pass the comments without minding whoever. Even all these things that I've been preaching, you see that a lot of people. I went to my brother's funeral sometimes. I invited a preacher, a pastor, who preached the usual way. I wasn't pleased with his preaching. I took up the mic. I said, you've heard it the usual way. The usual way that will not impact your life for the better. I took up the mic and I told them, you churches, you are exploiting the people. And the people are running away from God now, instead of drawing nearer to God. People are groaning under the yoke of your financial burden, which is not the primary aim of Christ, even of God. The church is not to make money. It is to win souls. It's to retain souls. Your demands for money is making people to run away. And the lies that people won't make heaven unless they pay tithes. And those of you doing bazaar, those of you that Christ drove away from the church premises, temple premises in those days. By the time I was through, some of them that were pastors, they were angry. You know that I have touched upon the source of their ungodly money-making machine. I've removed the spin, the what is it called? Piston and rings. I've removed it from inside their engine. They were angry. Pressing people for money all the time. Not minding, not giving back to them anything. I refer them to 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 4 to 5. The kind of money you can collect from the church, from the people. And even when you collect them, they're supposed to be used according to 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 14 to 15, where you give back to the people. COVID-19 came. The church was sending account to which people would send money. They were not considering the money. They didn't ask for the address where they would deliver food to the people. It was the activism in me. If you are a girl and I'm relating with you, and your mind ever thinks that, oh, maybe this man is talking so that he can have ungodly relationship with you, are mistaken. I'm identifying the needs of your life. I'm talking to those needs. I'm not seeing your structure. I'm seeing your future. And I'm guiding you towards your future. How you can better your future. If you think otherwise, you are mistaken. No? Hey boy, by the time you draw closer to me and I begin to deal with you, the things that can truncate your destiny, you either buckle up or you run away. I have no I have no friends that if you are my friend, you will be a lover of truth, and you will be somebody that will be ready to examine your life and change something for the better. Even if you are doing well, you must move for something better. So, when we look at all these things, you will see that I'm a restless person. And as I write, my KBAC once said, you this man, how are you doing it? You are working for an organization. You are a lawyer. You are publishing books by the day. And the topics are unending. You go to schools to give lectures. 24 hours, you are everywhere. And you are still my representative in the town, development union. You are a farmer, big time farmer, producing maize, producing garri, producing palm oil, producing yam, producing watermelon, cucumber, everything, like my granddaughter, her popular saying, boboye, you do everything. How are you able to accomplish all this? And yet you are in the church preaching and teaching. I say, me, I don't know. All I knew is that I'm producing results wherever I go, and there's no time that I must waste. I just discovered that God has given me a multi-skill. God made me a multi-talent, a multi-skilled somebody. Even in my report, in my organization where I worked, I travel a lot. Yet I still accomplished all these things. I was in the union. I was going to school. I was still taking good care of my family. I was still taking good care of the children. I was taking good care of the many activities. This is God. This is just to tell you that you are fit for many things. But maybe laziness or lack of vision, lack of understanding makes you to think that if you go to office work and you come back, that's the end of it. Or you are even a minister of God. You minister. You don't even develop your skill in this area of ministration. Not for money. If you have passion for God, you will want your ministration to go beyond your local church. Everything, this thing I'm doing, I'll put it on in the internet. And everybody will benefit from it. Every ministration I do is not for the local church, because there's somebody out there, far away, that needs it. Even people around me may not be their own message. If you are a minister of God, minister to the point where you are preaching to the entire world. Thank God for social media. That's why I always say that anybody that does not have a social media handle today is as good as not being in existence. Anybody that is complaining of data, whatever, you better pray. That's the prayer I prayed when data was going to be. I said, Lord, please, let me not get to a stage where I cannot buy data again. Because I must propagate the gospel. I must do all these things that I'm doing. And God answered my prayers. So I prioritize data more than food. Because knowledge is the key thing. 24 hours. I'm on the social media. Yet I will go to work. Yet I will farm. Yet I will preach and teach. Who says you cannot do too many things? Who says like jack of all trades, master of nothing? That's you are under the canopy of laziness. You can do many things. Every moment can be a productive moment in your life. I've never had a dull moment in my life, and I will never have. Activism in me. I keep talking. I'm not tired. Instead, the more I talk, the more energized. So when you see me talking about anything, I'm passionate about it. Look at Donald Trump now. See the comments I made. See everything here and there. America, worldwide, even in my local home, I did not leave any stone unturned. When it's time to talk about my local community, you will think that I'm in no other place than that community. That's me for you. God can use you to do many things. Now, another thing is that, like I said, the radicalism, the activism in me helped me a lot to be able to even consider. There is a particular chapter in my autobiography. I wrote my autobiography at the age of in 1981. As far back as 1981, republished in 2006, second edition. And the third edition, let me say, this one is, I said part 2, this one will be part 3. If God wills, I can write it. If not, it's there on social media. You have access to it now. Share it to the entire world. Let them benefit from it. It covers all the journeys of my life. There's something that, look, you cannot reinvent anything. Nothing happens to you that has not happened in the life of others. So we only want to be learning from each other. How did he solve this problem? How did he solve the problem? So that it becomes easier for you to solve. Comparing experiences, you say, oh, this one happened to me too. Oh, this one. But fools will say autobiography is that you want to eulogize yourself. Envy. You want to praise yourself. That's why you are writing your autobiography. They are not interested. Post it online. You see that? Because it's autobiography, nobody is interested. They don't want to learn from one another. They themselves will not leave their own experiences for others to learn from. That's the irony of life. I want to make a difference. It takes a lot of activities. It takes challenging the status quo. It is the status quo challenge that took me to where I am today. I would have been contented with poverty. I would have been relegated. I would have amounted to nothing. I would have been deceived by the church. My destiny would have been truncated if I didn't challenge. Because the Bible gave me the authority. Even the prophecy of the prophets, challenge it. The Bible tells me, search for the truth, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's what I'm doing. If we are so close, don't think that I will not tell you what you are doing wrong. And don't ever think that I will join you in doing that wrong. Don't ever think that I will keep quiet when I see what you are doing wrong. Òtítọ́ korò, tell it. Let the person hear. Let him be angry. All these things we are telling to the churches, we told them. Let them be angry. It is the truth. Is it what the Bible says? Yes. Will they change? That's left in their own hands. Are you judging them? Never. Because I myself am not a perfect person. I have my flaws. Maybe it's you that will see my flaws. You can criticize me, you can correct me. You see my flaws. So, the bottom line of what I'm saying in this chapter is that I'm an activist. I care for improving any situation I find myself for the better, influencing it for the better. I care for integrity. I care for hard work. I care for progress. I care for advancement. If I take on my children, they will know. They will tell you. I see the way and I point the way to you. I say wake up. I say fly. You are not flying. You are my children, but I will not condone visionlessness. I will not condone contentment with the status quo. It's not the same thing as godliness with contentment. No. Godliness with contentment means where you are not envying others, but you are thinking of going beyond that level. And at God's own pace, at your own pace, you get there. But godliness with contentment means you should not improve yourself. You should not be creative. You should not be efficient. You should not be effective. If I have ever worked from you, see that I work with time and efficiency and effectiveness. You do it. You don't do things on a timely basis. You can't be friends. And you do a shoddy job. You can't be friends. May God help us. From now onwards, I believe you will now know why I'm restless, why I always talk about something. Please share it. Share this message. If you love somebody, if you hate somebody, share to them. No time for excessive sleeping. No time for lying. I think we are around, I started recording this thing, I think around maybe 3 o'clock or so. Maybe it's even up to 3. And 7 a.m. I'm at my place of work. Life does not require that you just keep your fingers crossed. Life is blunt. Thank God that all these things will be in the archives for generations yet unborn, which has been my dream. That's why I was writing books in those days. Thank God the listener can see my face now. They can do everything years after. God bless you. Let me stop here. There's a lot to say in the area of my activity, and always suffice it to say that I look at details of every situation I find myself and do something about them. Bye for now. Pastor Yemi Omogboyega.